I don't trust politicians just because of the last track record of 100 years of bullshit. And even though he's saying all the right things, and I'm getting warm, fuzzy feelings when he's talking, he's saying different things, and he's very, very
Well,
strong with his
let me just say
words.
this. So
Yeah,
I have a couple of different people. I can say the names, but I don't even want to take them by saying it. That I was not, you know, they weren't my favorites. And in each of these positions, which are crucial positions,
mm-hmm.
I was like, but who would be the alternative? Crap, I don't even know who I fully trust because uh, one of the things I could get somebody that's absolutely true blue, red, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
for certain of these positions. But the problem would then be that um, they would never get past Congress to get those offices, or they'd be attacked so hard they wouldn't be able to get anything done. So Trump put a few people in. There's three that I instantly go to, and I have to say, in those specific three instances, they have done everything the way the president wanted them done. They haven't tried to upstage. They haven't, been in the rest of the news cycle for anything bizarre. They have just done their job and have done it amazingly. And one of those three is Rubio.
No
And
question about it.
I, for example, the fun thing the other day, he goes to China on the plane. He's wearing the tracksuit that Maduro was wearing.
Right.
Taylor,
Well,
though it wasn't as floppy. But
yeah.
why is that important? The reason that's important is it's sending another message.
Right.
Uh, we own this guy and the suit he flew in on.
Well, the
We're learning all
dismay.
sorts of stuff. Why is he wear it on the plane to China? Because the whole thing is China was running
Right.
Venezuela and raping Venezuela of its assets, its oil for
Correct.
next to nothing.
Yeah.
See, that's the whole point. China's having to now negotiate with us even for uh, uh, revamping up the Alaska oil pipeline
Right.
and get some of that oil because they had the production down to like 15%. They're like, it's about ready to go corrode. So they actually had to fill the pipeline up and
Yeah.
move oil back and forth in the pipeline just to keep it from corroding. Huge losses, all because of the green,
Uh-huh.
bullshit movement. You got
Yeah.
so much oil up there; it's out there. It's the size of a postage stamp in comparison to a football field where they wanted to do stuff up there at the head of the pipeline. It's
Yeah.
insane. It's the
Yeah.
one place that's perfect to go
Yeah.
get the stuff that doesn't impact everybody else, and then you're going to stop them from doing it. That's totally political. In fact, it's the people that stopped all of that work up there. Why? Because they wanted us to buy the oil
Right.
from the Mideast, from their buddies, their friends, where they get their big take out of it. And the whole green movement of being run out of the Brits. Okay, well, it's the Brits, the fucking Brits, wanting
Yeah.
us to comply with their bullshit and our politicians going along with it and then blocking us from going after our own resources. That's the kind of stuff that Trump is going after. And that's a perfect example. Okay, instead of China getting it from Venezuela and Iran and everybody
Yeah.
else, literally stealing it from them, not even paying retail. I mean, not even paying wholesale. I mean, not even paying.
Yeah.
Uh, they now, oh, you want oil? Oh, yeah, yeah. Why do you think Trump's not in any race to
Exactly.
figure out Iran? Let them
Exactly.
figure it out. In the
Exactly.
meantime, the
Exactly.
oil isn't coming out of there. And in fact, here's the other thing. So a lot of those wells, China was the one that was supervising the way those wells were being run. Pretty lousy too.
Yep.
But in Iran, you don't turn off an oil well like you turn off the spigot on your hose.
Correct.
It's capillary action, it's siphoning action. And so once you establish a flow to the wellhead, you have to maintain that so that the well continues to fill and refill from adjacent areas, and the
Yeah.
pressure goes to that wellhead. Well, if you just turn it off, you destroy a well, and you have to cap it off, repressurize it, and go re-drill it other places.
Yeah.
Um, Iran, all this stuff about the environmental factors and the oil, everything else. What's going on over at Karg Island? The wells are still pumping. Iran hasn't turned them off, but they filled every, you know, uh, beer can, every freaking container, every bucket, every toilet that they can with as much oil as they have, and because they don't want to turn them off. Once it's off, it's off. Well, what's really going on? All of their Chinese maintained wells are going to be shit. They're going to have to cap them off because the environmental stuff and all that. They're just pouring the oil out on the ground. They don't have anywhere to put it, anywhere to ship it because everything's full.
Right.
So when they shut those off, those wells we shut, oh, you want to drill oil again in Iran so you can do stuff? American companies will come in
Exactly.
there. We'll do a better job of it, and you'll pay us to come in there and help you do it. And then when the oil's flowing, you're not going to be selling it to China for a couple cents on the dollar of what it's worth. You're going to make real money, or to whoever, and put it out into the world. Um, and so we're going to turn on the oil from here in the U.S. China can buy the oil from us and not launder through Iran or
Yeah.
Venezuela or any place else. We're going to shut them
Yeah.
off, and that's exactly what we're supposed to do. So then China has to compete in a world market at market prices. They got to buy their oil for the same price everybody else does. They got to buy their raw resources for the same price everybody else does. No more killing, raping, maiming whole countries such as the Congo, uh, so they can have all their minerals for next to nothing, just the cost of a few humans in the way,
Right.
and start a little war here or there. China's going to have to play on an even keel. And then going back, nothing happened on the meeting, the trip to China.
No, a lot happened.
That's about as most dumbass statement as you could possibly get.
100%.
What what Trump did is he sent a lot of messages to China, just like the backstory on what went on with Basent and some of their monetary stuff, the stolen election in South Korea that they were behind,
Hmm.
along with other places. The little jumpsuit with Maduro and Rubio. Maduro's singing. When do birds sing? When they're caged. So he's caged. He's singing like a canary right now. Why? Because he wants his wife and his son to maybe get out of prison while they're alive. Yeah, he won't. He's the stuff that he's been involved with. To outer space, bad stuff, killed a lot of people. Um, a lot to pay for there.
Yeah.
So, uh, uh, and China's having to kind of understand. Like, for example, here's another thing. You asked about Iran. Uh, Trump and Xi, they're talking about who they like for leadership in Iran. Nobody has emerged as the new leader of Iran. It's, you got a half a dozen groups all saying that they're in charge. Okay, well, they may be in charge of this or that or something else. I'm handing pizza deliveries. You're in charge of the Ubers.
Yeah.
You take the retirement home. Somebody's got the uranium. We know exactly where the enriched uranium is. The question is, who's going to own that? They're still out there trying to threaten us.
Correct.
Okay, so don't touch it. Don't try to move it. You won't exist
Correct.
within a few minutes. Okay,
Yeah.
you'll be talking to Allah. Okay, and he won't be happy with you, so you're not going to get your 71 virgins. Forget that. So with that in mind, um, uh, whoever decides that they're in charge and then offers, we have the security, we control the enriched uranium. Please, President Trump, send people over, pick it up, take it somewhere, and we don't want it on our land anymore. That's who's going to come out as being in charge of Iran. They've got to
Right.
make a deal and decide to push it. If they don't do that, then uh, you know they're not the ones that are in charge. Whoever's tough enough, strong enough, in place enough to control the destiny of that enriched uranium, which Trump has made a cornerstone. No nuclear weapons. Done. Uh, Enriched uranium isn't used for nuclear power and things like that. It's used for bombs.
Right.
So, whoever they decide within Iran is tough enough, powerful enough to control that, then that's the new leaders of Iran, and Trump will help enforce that by, you work a deal with us, we'll want you in charge. And that's what he told Xi. See, Xi was saying, well, here's the people in Iran that we like. Why? Because they're getting all their free oil. Iran was being run in lockstep with a lot of China stuff. It was all China's technology running their missile systems. 300,000 missiles in Lebanon, 100,000 in Gaza. Why do you think the Israelis went in there and done what they did? We're not going to live under this threat forever. Done. Over with. Where were all those missiles coming from? Iran. Were the people in Gaza paying for them? No. Were the people in Lebanon paying for them? Not on your life. Okay. And by the way, how were they fueling those missiles? Remember when Beirut blew to smithereens? I mean, a blast, like, a nuclear blast, right? What was the deal? That was where they were making the rocket fuel there at the port there. They were using uh, the ammonium nitrate that was their fertilizer, and had German machinery that was refining that. So they had their fuel for their uh, 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 missiles that were being the threat. So that got destroyed. It was all a big scam. That was a Russian ship that brought that there in the first place, and then got sanctioned and taken custody of it. And it was put on the docks. So at the end of the day, there's a lot in these discussions that's not really stuff the public is aware of, understands. You know, and yeah, it happened. Big things are happening. So
Yeah, I think Mark. Getting back to Marco Rubio, he's grown on me. He's been growing on a lot of podcasters out there. But as a test, I think we should make, because he legally could be the president. Let him run a fair campaign. He could be the president of Cuba to prove himself, make Cuba great for the first time, and then we'll maybe think about making you the president of the United States.
well, it sounds fun. I mean, it's like saying we want to make Alberta the 51st state or something like that. In this day and age, we don't need to turn Canadians into Americans. Um, they're brothers. We work together. When we're allowed to play together properly, we play well.
Mm-hmm.
The arm on the space shuttle was built in Canada, was something that they had a lot of direct pride over. Canada, the shale oil and like that, you could power planet Earth for 300 years on the shale oil just in a small patch up there in Canada. And we got energy all over the planet. It's stupid to say peak oil. That was a lie from day one.
Yeah.
So we got plenty of energy, that sort, and we're moving into other systems. It's at this moment in time, uh, realistically, it's about a 50-year transition
Mm-hmm.
on a lot of these things,
Yeah.
where we go to other power sources, ways of generating things like that. So you're going to be around. One of the folks that works on some of my vehicles, young kid, he's wants to be a world class diesel mechanic, and he'd like to crew on one of my racing vehicles. And I've said, world the way it is, you need to think a little broader than just diesel. But in his lifetime, he'll probably be fine.
You're talking about
Even
free
there,
energy,
because
Juanito. Let's
well, let's not call it free. It's
okay.
low cost. It still costs something to create the mechanisms that can
Right. The
pull it out.
mechanism that can produce free energy, for your home, right? It costs maybe
Well,
twenty
yeah, I mean,
thousand or $10,000.
again, you have pretty good upfront cost, but once you get using it regularly, and some of the stuff actually has very low thresholds,
Exactly.
um, you can do a tremendous amount. Let's put it this way: the energy BTU of energy needed to do certain types of work.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I'm looking at LED projection systems. Uh, in the old days, you had lights that, you know, used a tremendous amount of energy to do lighting. Today, we use LEDs for a fraction of the cost. That's why
Right.
you get these flashlights that go on for a couple days on the same batteries that would go, 45 minutes or an hour in the old days. And
Right.
because they have such low energy consumption to do essentially the same work. We're becoming more efficient with all of our machinery, engines and things like that.
Correct.
And that'll continue to be the case. I mean, I know about some stuff that, yeah, it would absolutely fry your mind to realize, oh my gosh, you can do that. Yeah, shit, we were doing it a long time ago for vehicles and things like that.
Right.
Even going electric is not as efficient as some of these other
How much
systems, and no
technology?
pollution.
Yeah. How much technology do you think they're hiding from us? I mean, do you have a roundabout
Well, it's
number?
hard to say who the they is. I will tell you that there's within certain industries, especially energy, some of the groups or families that are the trolls that control the way stations the checkpoints, the choke points for energy distribution. They work very hard not to allow anything else to come in and compete with them, and that's very real. Well, is that the government? No, it's not. It's within certain families and industry that come after it. Like for example, not the same, but kind of in the zone. IDC, International Diamond Cartel. The planet is covered in diamonds. Places that you go find gold, a lot of these places have diamonds that are, right there too, and you take them out the same way you take out the gold. But the IDC goes out and buys up any of these mines that could come on the market and bring the price down just by volume. So we had a group up in Canada that had tremendous diamond mines. They got them all up, got all their permits ready to extract, etc. And then the IDC folks came in, bought it, and closed the whole thing down. Why? Because they didn't want the competition into other parts of the world where their labor is cheaper, their price points and profits are higher, etc. It's the same within the alternative energies, and in fact, for example, the deal with hydrogen. When you use hydrogen, you break down water and you get hydrogen and oxygen, H2O. 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. So you use an electric method to separate, to crack water. And so hydrogen power for vehicles has been around for forever. The problem is you don't have a fueling system set up for hydrogen. If you wanted to switch, say, just the truck fleet in America, all the over-the-road semis, tractors like that, to hydrogen, you could do it. It takes more space to store hydrogen because it's not as dense, it's not as compact as liquid fuel, say diesel or something like that with high BTUs. But on a semi truck, these big tractor trailers, you got a lot of space there. You got plenty of room to put the storage in there, and it's not explosive like other fuels. If you have it in the right media, you could have an accident, and all of the hydrogen pellets, foam pellets that hold it, could fall out on the ground. You get a shovel, you throw it back in, and seal the tank up. It's safer. And the deal there is.
Ray Young, kindly return to gate H14 for the message. Ray Young, kindly return to H14. Ray Tiara Young.
Yeah, Ray, what were you thinking? You left your ID back at Ray. Go back to Franken Security and get your ID. Might be his cell phone or something like that. Anyway, Ray, think about it. Okay, what were you thinking? He was probably listening to us and got distracted. Anyway, if you think about it, you could decide to mandate that now all over the road trucks, all buses run on hydrogen. Our engines don't have to change. That's another thing. So you change the way that you run the fuels in there like that, but we could switch the fleet, large portions of the fleet, over to hydrogen. The problem is you have to decide that you're going to go out and spend tens of billions of dollars creating the infrastructure to fuel it, and the mechanics, the technicians to be able to work on those vehicles to switch it over. But what do you get when you burn hydrogen? You get water. Water droplets come out the tailpipe. You can just sit there and breathe it and nothing happens. It's green. Why don't you do that? Because our system and the trolls that run it make so much money on the oil side of it, and the refineries and cracking oil and everything else. And it's denser for personal vehicles. It's oh my gosh, they're running a NASCAR race right here in the terminal.
That must be Ray.
Yeah, that would be me. I'm in the right car. And
are you in Miami?
Yeah, I'm in Miami. Yeah,
I figured the airport looks familiar.
Yeah. But the reason that I say that is that you have to have that decision, that will to decide to do that. We could do that. Yeah, go back a little bit. After World War II, of course, Germany had the Autobahn, which allowed for the movement of military equipment all over the country. rapidly, smoothly on these great big huge paved highways. Eisenhower came back after the war got into power and commissioned that we were going to have a huge national highway system, the freeways, and that was that period. I remember it as a kid. Route 66 went through every town and city across the country, going all the way through. And when they created the freeway system, even the TV show Route 66 with their Corvettes and like that was
Yep.
very cool show. What was the deal? They bypassed all those towns and they just became dustbins. They became ghost towns in many cases. Only a handful survived at key waypoints. And that was where the gas station was, right there at the off ramp. Fuel up, get back on the freeway and go.
Yep.
And if town was a mile away, people wouldn't drive a mile to go over and fuel up. And so the choice of how that road went, what cities were chosen to survive, was key. But we created an entire highway system as an act of refining and making America so it could work more efficiently. Okay, and we could go to another fuel the same way. We could decide that we're going to become efficient and do important things with another fuel.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about arrests, Juanito, because it seems that we're talking about arrests. Things are heating up. It looks like maybe we're going to get some arrests and then things cool off again. Then things heat up again and then things cool off again. Now we're in a cooling off period again. Nobody's talking arrest all of a sudden anymore. Where are we on that? I know you've been right.
That's not true. That is not true. That is not true. That is not true. That is not true.
Maybe I'm not paying attention.
Hard on. Did you see what happened a week ago over at Congress? They weren't giving Trump his appointments. The majority of them for these various offices. And so the Senate did a mass bill where they just approved all of Trump's appointments. And most of them were for the Justice Department, for AGs.
Okay.
And so the deal is, why couldn't you get to Justice Department? Because the people that were there didn't want to do anything with what Trump wanted to do. Now you've got new directors, AGs of all these locations, and they're making their will known. We are going to do this and this and this.
Okay.
Get out of the way.
When I say arrest, I'm talking about the big boys. I'm talking Obama.
Well, but hold on a second. Hold on a second. A lot of that, you have to do the stuff that you present to a grand jury. So that the case is prepared and you can prove what you got to do. Look at what happened with Brennan. The prosecutor was playing footsie and not going forward, and doing questionable on how well they were doing what they're doing. So kick them to the curb, bring in a new prosecutor. He gets the job, gets assigned the job, gets accepted. The statements were that they withdrew much of the material that had been presented to the grand jury, the indictments that had already been served. They withdrew those. Oh, see, nothing's going to happen. It's horrible. No, they were shit. They weren't going to win on those. They withdrew those. Then it will take him 6 to 8 weeks to come up to speed on the file. Why? Because he has to be able to own the material. He's saying to the judge, he's saying to the grand jury, he's saying to the person that's the target, that what I have, I can prove. What I have is the truth, the facts, and I have done an investigation, determined what's true, what's facts, etc. He has to own that. He can't just pick up where the other guy left off. So he has to go through all the evidence, all of the testimony, all of the things, be familiar with it so he can present his case for a prosecution.
Yeah.
And they're saying 6, 8 weeks. That's about right. There's a lot of material there to get through the core stuff. Brennan's not out of the woods.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Justice Department's still coming for him, but he's an example of all the other ones. I'm telling you,
but
they have now. You have several dozen new AGs. Each one of them have a plate full of people that they want to go after. That is the reason why Trump picked them in the first place. Who've been waiting for a year to get into office in many cases. Hello.
Yeah, but we've been.
And so they will then come up to speed. They will go to the grand juries, and then they'll go for indictments and arrests, and that's not the end. A lot of that material will also be used where there is treason involved and other things for military.
Okay, I'm glad you used the word treason. I'm glad you used the word military. That's exactly where I want to go. Because,
right. Yeah. But again, a lot of that material currently exists at the Justice Department as it's sifted through and matures, and the witnesses are allowed to present what they have, the depositions are done, etc. The determinations then won't be, oh crap, he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, slap it. No. They were working with China and other stuff. And by the way, when you sit there and nothing happened in China, before Trump agreed to go to China, China had to agree to allow extradition of one of the internet hackers that they had over there. And we brought him back to the U.S., okay? Well, after they agreed to work with us on that, then we'd come over and visit. Why Trump want to go over there to visit them? He wants to be seen by the Chinese people. It's not him kissing ass to Xi.
Yes.
It's him taking names and numbers before he even got on Air Force One and left. If he'd gotten the wrong feedback in return, when Bessent went to South Korea, the South Korean president wasn't on path to be free, Trump wouldn't even have left. So get your head out of your ass. Stuff is happening that it may be not fully understood, but
I want to make sure that we have military tribunals, because if we have regular civilian tribunals, everybody's compromised, and these guys are going to walk again, and they'll never and they'll take over.
Yeah, they're not walking. Nobody's walking.
Yeah. So you think it's going to be a military tribunal? You think it'll be that extreme?
I don't think. I'm telling you what it's going to be.
Okay. Good.
Okay. So part of the thing that just drives me crazy is you have a bunch of Debbie Downers out there. Okay. And, nothing's happened so far. It's never.
No, I know it's going to happen. Yeah.
No. Well, then don't say it as a question, because the whole point here, everything we're doing is about getting to the point that you can't get to justice on these things with judges and everything else. Go look at the Tina Peters situation. You got judges that have their head up their ass so far on a political agenda, and you just can't get to justice. So we're going to have to go in there, kick some ass, and fix this. So
Judge Jeanine Shapiro recently is leading a task force for all the crypto scammers out there on a global level, initiated by Donald Trump. Do you think that we're going to be able to recuperate a lot of this money that's been stolen around the world, including people that use my name, to be quite honest with you?
Well, I mean, that's the process we're in. Yeah.
Okay. So, do you think that task force is going to be able to literally bring some of these people to justice? I would love to see that.
I don't just think, we know that it is. That's the whole point. That's the path that we're on.
Right. Well, let's set the stage. Yeah. It looks like you're walking closer to your gate. It looks like
in fact, they're already
lined up.
Yeah. So it's not just lined up. They already called my class. So
all right. So let's talk about med beds real quick, just to set the stage for when you come back.
Well, let's save that for a little bit later. The long and short of it is, the med bed may technically be an accurate term, but it's talked about. It's you got a bed that has some medical application, etc. But the technology, it's going to take your bone out, put a brand new one in there. It's going to work perfectly. It's going to be, we're going to solve all sorts of things. We can treat and help in many types of medical situations, but a lot of it's stated. So
over-exaggerated.
Yeah. So anyway.
Well, we'll talk about more about that when you come down to Cape Canaveral when we make that announcement. By the way, I got to get in touch with your guy, Matt. We got 3 places that Tracy was able to find that she think will be a good fit for you to do an event in Orlando.
All right, beautiful. We'll talk about that, and I'll look forward to it.
Very good. Thank you, brother.
All right.
You're awesome. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, bro.
Okay, folks, here we go.